Hello. Hello. Oh, Matron and all that kind of thing. We are going to talk about the upcoming, hopefully, next Carry On film, Carry On Beside the Sea. Now, I'm a massive fan of Carry On films. They have been a part of British culture for a very long time. I think there's only maybe one or two that are absolutely terrible. Some incredible comedic actors in there. What we're going to do today is I'm going to go through a few articles that I found, as many as I could find, about the Carry On Beside the Sea reboot that they're going to do, hopefully. Now, this has been talked about for many, many years, that people might bring back Carry On. There are a few reasons why or why not this has happened, or why these things have not happened, should I say. And why there's so many different people involved. The Film Stories website is really good for finding out things about Carry On, so I recommend that. There is also, I have put out the call to people who I know who work in comedy, either comedians from the Comedy Store or people that I know over Twitter/X, who they thought would be good casting choices for a new modern version of a Carry On film. So I gave them kind of an archetype of a character, and then I thought, right, who would you put in that role? And I got lots of different people's suggestions, so I'm going to go through those as well. So that'll be fun. Kind of who would be able to do that now. Now I'm going to take you through the details of how this might be made. A bit of background from the Carry On franchise. Do you have a favourite Carry On film? If you do, is it the same as mine? I'll tell you mine. Mine's Carry On Abroad. I think it's the funniest one, and yeah, it's from Elle's Bells. It's just it's great. I think it's a really good Peter Butler performance in there as well. And do you have a favourite character or a favourite actor from the series? Mine being Kenneth Williams. I find Kenneth Williams incredibly talented. I recommend his diaries if you get a chance to read his diaries. They are fantastic, really personal, really private, but like, he's so up and down that sometimes people are great and sometimes they're not. You hear about some amazing people from film history. And he was a great writer, a great actor. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about the history of it. But yeah, do you have a favourite film, favourite actor from the series? Do you have a favourite actor now, or comedian? Should it be a comedian or should it be a comedic actor? Obviously, they went for comedic actors back then. Stand-up wasn't really like a unique thing. You kind of had a bit of everything. You were a song and dance person, or and you did some acting, and you did a bit of everything, really. So I'm going to go through the background of the Carry On films very briefly, and then we're going to dig into what people have sent me about. And I just basically did like a big, like a word cloud. So I did like a word cloud where they could just throw in all their ideas. So I've got loads of ideas from people who work in comedy about what they think about the Carry On series. Now, obviously, some people might just go, we just don't need any more. I feel there's a bit of a revival. There's been some interest in the kind of confessions films. There's a documentary that was released on Channel 4 recently called Saucy, which went into the kind of the popularity of those kind of saucy films from the 70s. But I feel that Carry On tried to keep up with some of those, and when they did with Carry On Emmanuel, which is the worst one, it's just sad. It's just really sad and grim. That when they're saucy and innuendo and cleverly written, and everyone's kind of into it, then they're great. Obviously, they weren't getting paid a lot. There was a lot of sort of wrangling behind the scenes, a lot of interesting characters involved, both on and off camera. So let's break it down. So it's an iconic franchise. It's a British institution. I think they're 99% harmless, just fun, enjoyable, silly nonsense. It's almost the Seaside Postcards as well, like that kind of humour. It became its own subgenre, the Carry On film, starting in 1958 with William Hartnell, who went on to be a Doctor Who, and Bob Monkhouse, our version of Bob Hope, in Carry On Sergeant. But then it kind of evolves, or devolves, I guess, into an innuendo-laden, very broad farces. There isn't really a lot of story. Carry On Camping, and this is the thing to remember, and the same goes for confessions films. Confessions films, actually, were some of the most popular and well-attended films in those particular years in the 70s, bringing in millions and millions. Even our current king went to see, I think it was Confessions of the Window Cleaner. Everyone was seeing it. So anyway, back to the Carry On film. So Carry On Camping was the most popular film in the UK box office in 1969. Carry On Screaming is known as probably one of the best made films, which is kind of a horror parody. So if you're a horror fan, like a lot of people who watch this channel are, then that would be a good one to check out. It came back in 1992 with Carry On Columbus, which a lot of people think wasn't very good. I actually have it on VHS. I don't know, just because. I don't know if I have it on DVD. I think I have all of them on DVD. So I probably have this one, but yeah, I don't know. It's I got a lot of the sort of alternative comedy crowd in there, so you think it might be sort of like Rick Mayall, Julian Clary, Alexei Sale, people like that, but did not do well. It was not the right time, 92, to bring it back. Yeah, just didn't work. So hopefully if you're watching this later or you're watching it now, you can kind of get involved. Tell me what you think about these in the comments. That would be pretty cool. And tell me what you think about this in general, because I don't know, it's one of those, isn't it? I think we're kind of yearning for a little bit of nonsense that doesn't mean anything, that's just kind of just fun. I think we're crying out for something like that, where we don't want to kind of get too deep into stuff, just surface level nonsense, and we're kind of missing a little bit of surface level nonsense. But that's not to say that the performers aren't very, very talented. So we'll talk a little bit about that as well. What else? Let's break it down. So there have been various unmade films that people talked about creating over the years. The most recent one, which I'm kind of glad didn't get made, was going to be called Carry On Doctors, written by 2 pints of lager and a packet of crisps. It's like a sitcom from she's called Susan Nixon. I think she won a competition, like a writing competition. I think she was at university or did a writing competition, and BBC made this sitcom. Not my cup of tea. Just couldn't get into it. Didn't think it was particularly funny. The actors were good, so I felt it was like a little bit of a waste of the actors. But I'm sounds terrible, but I'm glad she didn't make Carry On Doctors. That was completed in 2016. It was going to be the first of 3 films, but it did not go into production due to legal issues. But there are no shortage of others. The British Comedy Guide said that the new film, Carry On Beside the Sea, is in development now. It's still classed, if you go on IMDb, it'll say it's in development. Now, it basically resembles, from what we're hearing, Carry On Girls, so like a kind of seaside beauty pageant, which I'm not sure, do those still happen? Do those kind of things go on? Maybe they're more like talent contests, I don't know. And then there were plans that they're going to make this film, and then they're going to do a stage show of it, which I think is interesting, another way of doing it. Stage shows have really evolved, haven't they, now? Like, usually they are, a lot of them are just sort of film related or film versions. So the producer is called Nigel Gordon Stewart. He is going to be an executive and investor. He was trying to do this over the last few decades, but he wants it to be a family entertainment brand, only intention of making people laugh and enjoy themselves, which is fair enough. Chances are, he said, a lot of things make you laugh, a bit of slapstick, a bit of innuendo, farcical situation, a misunderstanding, some physical comedy. It's just literally listing all the things that are comedy. A naughty, witty, or cheeky line, or a full-on, well-told joke. We have no intention of making jokes, plots, or scripts deliberately in bad taste or with the intent to offend anyone, but we can't guarantee that we won't, because you just can't do that anymore. Well, no, I mean, that's not a new thing. Being offended isn't new. Like, people were offended in the 70s by certain things, you know, just maybe didn't have access to broadcast their offence as much. But yeah, I certainly know people who were offended by things in the 80s. Just nobody listened to them. They had no access to selling people about it. Let's see. Oh, hey, Larry, how you doing? Yeah, so they've not made this yet. There are quite a lot of Carry On films that were made all the way from the 50s up till the 90s. Very broad comedies. I can't think of if there's any American equivalent of Carry On films, really, like a group of, I guess it's the Zuckers, but I guess it's the Zucker brothers, but if you imagine that they used all pretty much as exactly the same people from Airplane in all their films, I guess like Naked Gun series or something like that. But I feel like the Zuckers are a little bit cleverer in the way they do things. Carry On are a bit sillier and very, very British. But yeah, Al Lacard's got a playlist of them all that I can't see in the UK for some reason. I'm blocked to see them, but if you message him, he'll give you a copy of them all, or I'll give you a link to them, hopefully. Matron. Gareth's here. Stop messing about, Gareth. Stop messing about. Yeah, all the catchphrase. I was Spitzer, James, Kenneth Williams, as well, and all kinds all at once. Oh, Stuart, you legends. Yeah, that's my favourite. That is my favourite. Carry On Abroad. Eggs, chippings, beans, chippings. How he plays all the different characters, so that it seems like he's got a full complement of workers there at the old Els Bells. Yeah, Carry On Abroad. Carry On Abroad is free on YouTube at the moment if anyone is looking to watch it. So Gordon Stewart, this person who's wanting to do it, here we go. He's saying producers are determined to move away from the old house father and objectification and vulgarity. So Gareth will be very upset. He said, people can take offence even if it's not intentionally given. We want Carry On to be a family brand. Only intention making people laugh and enjoy themselves. We don't want to see any gratuitous nudity. That doesn't mean that there isn't going to be any, because this, Carry On films are not about, no one's watching them to get their rocks off, let's put it that way. It's like naughty, saucy, wobbly bits and misses. It's not like, whoa, blimey, way. No, it's not. Like a lot of these people, you feel that they've never felt the touch of a woman. We don't, or a man. We don't need to make unkind jokes out of nudity, although I'm sure we can all think of some extremely awkward situations in our own life looking back, which were pretty funny. So those are fair game. Yeah, I think he's got the right. I don't think he's saying no TNA. Yeah, it's Carry On Abroad. Yeah, what's this type of question? Yeah, how are you being served? Why? Yeah, why? That's a good question. Well, then if we're going for base stuff, I guess you couldn't hop on the internet and see people really going at it. But I think, I'm talking more about the sort of Confessions and all those films that were really, really making loads of money, Adventures of and all those. But for Carry On, I think there's a familiarity. There's a gap. We've always liked groups of people and seeing those same people in different situations. And I think that genuinely, a lot of these people just had funny bones. They definitely heightened the quality of the scripts. They made the scripts funnier because they were so good. And then when we got to when we got to Carry On Columbus, that's why I don't think it worked as well, because we were just, I don't think they were the new comedians had that skill to elevate the script unless it was one of their own. So yeah, I don't know the reason why it was so prevalent, other than I guess it feels a little bit naughty. Things were getting a little bit more permissive after the 60s. If you look at the sort of how the Beatles changed physically in just a few years, then that permissive-ness is kind of exciting and a bit naughty. But yeah, I believe there is going to be TNA, but just in a kind of more kind of way. They're not going to use it in a kind of titillating way. I guess that's what I read into it anyway. Everyone's saying hi. Yeah, on the buses. I was a bit gutted that the Inside Number 9 people didn't do their On the Buses spoof, and that they just used it as a bait and switch to do something else, which I felt was I was a bit disappointed, because I was like, oh, quite like this. I feel there's a bit of an upswell for 70s stuff coming back. Like I say, the documentary's on More 4 in the UK at the moment, but you can find it in most places, called Saucy, about the 70s adult comedies. And like I say, there's a bit of a interest in a new Carry On film coming out. They're always watched on TV. In fact, they were on the ITVX streaming service for free, and now they've put them behind the paywall because so many people are watching them. So it just shows you can find some of them on YouTube, DVD sets and things like that. I have the old red DVD set. I'm currently reading Kenneth Williams's autobiography as well, or his diaries, and he is just up and down with if he likes people or not. He's wild and he doesn't hold anything back. I feel I really know him quite well. Everyone's saying hi. Marty's saying hi to Larry and to Gareth. Awesome. I've got some pretty cool people in the chat here. Let's see. Yeah, Jim Dale, that's a good point, Stu. I think I only really kind of realised, particularly the doctor-based ones. I mean, he's Dr. Nucky, isn't he, Jim Dale? Dr. Nucky. He does. He has that kind of some of the stuff that he says coming out of somebody else's mouth. You'd be a bit like, oh, but I don't know. I guess he has a niceness and I don't know. There's just something about him that's kind of innocent, even though he doesn't always behave that way in the films. But I like Jim Dale. Yeah, none of them made any money out of it, which is really sad, except the producers. Yeah, there's definitely that, and I think that, or that they couldn't say that they were gay, but like it was gay coded, definitely, and that was where the humor came from, and some of it was, or they were sexless but really over the top. So yeah, it's definitely an interesting one. I wonder how. I mean, there's a really interesting one. There's a guy called Barry. Oh, what's he called? I'll say Barry Evans, who did the Adventures films, and he was gay, and he had to play the kind of horn dog character, and I think, and it really, really got to him playing an overly heterosexual character, like kind of obsessive. So he found that really difficult. But I don't know, people like Kenneth Williams, from reading his diaries, he was always battling with. He always felt like he was doing something wrong. But he was also quite religious, and he was having such internal demons. Charles Hawtrey, as most people will know, he had no problems with picking up gentlemen in his everyday life, and mainly sailors. Had a lot of time for sailors, and he was always drunk and very open about what his behaviour was like. Now, obviously, sadly, he passed away quite youngish. So I don't know. There's some real conversations to be had about that, I guess. How raunchy is it in retrospect? I guess there's not really a lot of nudity in the Carry On films, but there's a lot of jokes that are. What was it? There was one I was listening to today. It might have been Carry On Doctor. Within the first 5 minutes of Carry On Doctor, we're having like inspections of people's back passages and all kinds of stuff. But I don't know. For me, it all comes across as very innocent and very harmless. But I don't know. I'm not sure. But yeah, it's definitely. I also as well. I like to look at it as a bit of a time capsule, and right or wrong, it's of its time. That's why maybe it might be difficult making new ones. It might be really hard making new ones, actually. Oh yeah. They definitely they produced the film, the On the Buses film, and they did another. It might have been the what's it called? Not All in the Family. The one with Robin Asquith and Sid James as well. The other sitcom from the 70s. They Hammer were behind that as well. And On the Buses was a massive box office success. And if you look at I think it's the Butlins that they went to, or it might have been the Pontins, on holiday on the buses. I think it was the second one, or it might be the first one. I'm not a massive On the Buses fan, but I just remember that the place is still there now, but it's fallen apart. There's some videos where you can see the different comparisons. So everyone's saying hello sailor. Sound like Charles Hawtrey there. Some that really sent me to sleep, like Carry On, Don't Lose Your Head, bores me to tears. I do like the Doctor ones. Carry On Up the Jungle, it's okay. Like some of the early ones. I like Carry On Camping's okay, but my favourite, Carry On Camping's one of the better ones, I guess. But I like I like Carry On Abroad very much. Carry On Girls is funny. Yeah, loads. So the second half of this stream is going to be a little bit different. So I sent out the call to loads of people who I know who work in comedy, even tenuously, or just like comedy. So I asked them to give me some suggestions. Now, some of these I 100% do not agree with in terms of if they were remaking it, who would they put in it? So the first one is archetypal. So I put creating a modern version of Carry On film would involve casting a mix of talented British comedians and comedic actors who can embody the archetypal characters from the original series. And then I put, give me some suggestions, and I just waited for people to send me some ideas. Okay, so the modern British comedians. So the Saucy lead, the Sid James / Terry Scott type. So I'm only going to go for the ones people voted for a lot. I've mentioned a lot. So David Mitchell, known for his sharp wit and deadpan delivery, he could bring a modern twist to the classic cheeky lead role. I don't know. Maybe it's a bit, for me, might be a bit too awkward. He's not got that Sid James confidence, but are we looking for a dead straight on Sid James? So David Mitchell, the first one. The next one, next one for me is not for me. Oh, thanks, Flirty. Thanks for. Do you know, I keep clicking on things and they come. I'm getting a new laptop at the weekend. I've had to do it, so I should look better. Well, that's maybe not possible. Sound better, and I won't be having any lag or any robotic noises. I've just been really struggling with my laptop, so things should be better by Monday. So here we are. Back to the next one, who I don't really think would be amazing, is Jack Whitehall. It says, and comments included, his charm and comedic timing make him a great fit for the character. He's often flirty in films. Now, he wasn't too bad in the one with The Rock and what's the name? The one based on the Disney ride. What's it called? Jungle Cruise. He wasn't too bad in that, and he was playing like quite a high camp character in that, so maybe he could do it. But seeing stuff he's done in his sitcoms and stuff never interested me. But okay, so that was the main suggestions for the Saucy lead. The next one, the Matron, the Hattie Jacques type character. So, Carry On Screaming is a really good one to mention as well, particularly because I feel like it's the one maybe Americans will know the most and don't necessarily link it to anything else. I think it works quite well of itself. Carrying Up the Khyber, yeah, I think it's okay. But yeah, I know I can. It's definitely got a bit more action in it than some of the others. I mean, blimey, Carry On, Don't Lose Your Head is just one of my. I do like the what's the one, the W.C. Boggs, the toilet one. Is that Carry On Round the Bend? No. Oh, what's it called? Carry On at Your Convenience. That one's a good one. The toilet maker one, that's a good one. However, it does absolutely have a real overtly political message about unions, which is a bit of a pain. Like, it's almost because the producers who made it were so desperate to hold on to their cash, they almost didn't want any of their cast unionizing. They didn't want them working together and refusing to do stuff. They tried to divide and conquer with those guys. So yeah, Carry On Henry. I'm not a massive fan of either. So where was I up to? Oh, I was up to the Matron character. So suggestions I got were Miranda Hart. Her physical comedy and ability to play authoritative yet endearing roles would make her perfect for this character. And I don't know a lot about Miranda Hart. I know that I think she does a lot to camera stuff. So maybe that could work. I don't know. She could work. The next one we had Jo Brand. With her no-nonsense demeanour and dry humour, she would bring a fresh take to the matron role. Never really found Jo Brand that funny, but in this role, yeah, I think she's been a nurse, so it could work. Okay, the next one, the innocent Jim Dale type. So suggestions included James Acaster. Okay, so we definitely have the awkwardness there. Known for his everyman appeal and relatable humour, he could easily play the lovable, innocent character. So, yeah, interesting. I don't know about James Acaster. Like, I like I've liked some of his comedy. I didn't quite get it, and then I watched one of his, and it really blew my mind. I was like, oh, that's really, really funny. I find it hard to find stand-ups that I like these days, particularly British ones. So Yeah, James A. cast his quirky and slightly bewildered persona. Yeah, okay. Oh yeah, yeah. I like Bernard Bresslaw a lot, but yeah, I think he does the full-on Indian stereotype in that, if that's the one I'm thinking of. But I do like Bernard Bresslaw. In fact, this is weird. This was a drunk eBay purchase, but I got a Bernard Bresslaw board game called I Only Asked. I don't know what I've done with it. I think I tried to say I was buying it for my parents, but they were like, "What the hell have you bought this for?" Okay, the next innocent character, Josh Widdicombe. No, thanks. No. Don't think he'd be very good. Known for his everyman appeal and relatable humor, he could easily play the lovable, innocent character. No, I don't think he would work. Okay, the next one. Well, that's just my opinion. You might disagree. The flirt, Barbara Windsor type. So we've got, oh man, some of these suggestions I'm not that taken with, but hey ho. Catherine Tate, versatile and talented, she can bring both comedy and charm to the flirtatious character. Maybe. Again, I'm not a massive fan of Caroline Tate. I don't really know a lot about her. Sorry, Catherine Tate. Who's Caroline Tate? Catherine Tate. Surely there's, I don't know. I feel like if you made this in the early to mid 2000s, it'd be Williams and Lucas, wouldn't it? In this, Aisling B, Aisling, is it? I think it's Aisling. Her energetic and playful style suits the role of her bubbly and flirtatious character. Maybe. I don't. Again, some of these I don't know a lot. Just shows you I don't know a lot about modern comedy. Oh, I don't know the next one. Now the schemer, the Kenneth Williams type. So Richard Ayoade. Wow. Okay, that would be interesting. His quick wit and unique comedic style would make him an excellent schemer. I don't know if. Would you describe Richard Ayoade? I think him as a person has a quick wit, but the characters he plays don't tend to. He's funny. He's funny. I like him. The next one, Rufus Hound. Now, I don't know anything about Rufus Hound. Known for his expressive and flamboyant performances, he could bring a fresh modern twist to the scheming character. I don't know, from what I've seen of him, he's just like on quiz shows and things that maybe caught for a couple of minutes. No, doesn't do it for me. The befuddled authority figure. Oh, I wonder what would happen if Chris Morris was involved in this. That would be interesting. Wow. Anyway, the Charles Hawtrey type, Matt Berry. Okay, so I think Matt Berry elevates everything, so he'd be great in this. His distinctive voice, but he wouldn't do it, would he? And larger-than-life persona are perfect for playing a pompous, befuddled authority figure. Now, did you see Toast of London and Toast of Tinseltown? Most people saw Toast of London, but Toast of Tinseltown is really underrated, really weird. But it'd have to be weirder. Like the Carry On films would have to be weirder to have Matt Berry in them. Next, Bill Bailey. Again, I'm not a massive fan of Bill Bailey. I know some people love him from Black Books and things like that. One of my best friends is a huge fan of Bill Bailey, his music stuff. His distinctive voice and larger-than-life persona are perfect for playing a pompous, befuddled authority figure. Oh, is that what I just read for Matt Berry? I did, sorry. Bill Bailey, with his eccentric style and comedic chops, he could bring a lot of humour to the role. Okay, Bill Bailey. Right. So far, I'm not sold on any of these, other than I'd love to see Matt Berry in the film. But to be honest, I'd love to see him as the kind of the schemer. I'd love to see him as the Sid James kind of I'm in charge kind of person. But yeah, what else have we got? The straight man or straight woman, the Joan Sims type. Sarah Millican. Again, I'm not the right guy to talk about. Sarah Millican, because I don't really know much about her. Related, I think she's a Geordie. Her relatable and down-to-earth style would be perfect for the straight-talking character. I could see her being one of, this sounds terrible, but in the original ones being like kind of one of the wives. Yeah. The problem is you could end up making another Sex Lives of the Potato Men film here, and nobody wants that. Catherine Ryan, her sharp wit and ability to play the straight role in a comedic setting make her a great choice. I've never seen her act. I've never seen her do stand-up, so it's a bit tricky for me to say one way or another whether I think Catherine Ryan would be good in this. Hey, Liv, how you doing? Good to see you. Talking about probably the most British series of films in history, but I don't know. I think you'd quite like some of these. I think you'd find them quite entertaining. The comic relief character, Bernard Bresslaw type, so like either like big and not so intelligent. Greg Davis. So Greg Davis from The Inbetweeners, I think he would be good in a carry-on film. I think he's a good choice. His imposing physical presence and comedic timing are ideal for a bumbling, lovable comic relief. I don't know about lovable, but he would be a good character. Nick Frost. People talking about Nick Frost. Got a lot of people saying about Nick Frost. Yeah. Yeah, I don't even know if they even really made it to the US. That maybe Carry On Screaming did. But I know that the Confessions films did very well in the US. Well, that's neither here nor there because I'm not talking about those. But yeah, Nick Frost, known for his roles in buddy comedies, he can bring both humor and heart to the role. I feel Nick Frost would be a good call for being in a modern carry-on film. Yeah. You see that sort of ghost hunting thing that he did on Amazon? That was okay. That was quite fun. The young romantic, the Leslie Phillips type. Oh, ding dong. Tom Rosenthal. Now, if you've ever watched or ever heard me talk about my favorite comedies, Friday Night Dinner is one of my favorite comedies. They've just remade it in America. I think maybe one of the Zuckers is involved. I don't know. But Tom Rosenthal from that he'd be great in a carry-on film. I think he'd be good. Joe Lycett. Now, I don't know if Joe Lycett acts. I know he's a stand-up. I don't mind him. It's just his playful and charming persona. It's quite camp as well, so it could make a good fit for you for a romantic character. So it says, these actors and comedians with their diverse comic styles could breathe new life into classic carry-on films. Okay, so those were the suggestions that I got from people. If you're doing a group of comedians together in a new carry-on film, who would you choose? Do they have to be British? I know in Carry On Emmanuel, they brought in a couple of people from different places. In Carry On Camping, I think they did. Maybe Swedish people. Carry On Cleo. Yeah, I don't know. I think it does. It's a very uniquely British series. Do you think that it's something that would translate to America now? Would people in the US be interested in watching a group of British people making light innuendos and falling over a lot? I don't know. I mean, look at it this way. If you look on my channel, the most watched video I ever had was a Laurel and Hardy edit that I did. So there's definitely an audience for British humor that isn't like, razor sharp satire of the modern world. Because I'm fed up of looking at my phone and seeing what's going on in the world. Every day is something relentlessly miserable. The only thing that places carry-on films in the past as maybe some of the more problematic things, but not like would stop you watching it. And the only thing that played, maybe the way everybody looks as well and dresses, but it's the nice escape from reality anyway. I think that's the best thing about it. But yeah, I mean, maybe we don't need to be making carry-on films. Maybe we need to be making more films like Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz and emboldening. Because if you remember, Edgar Wright came from making Spaced, and Spaced was full of, British comedic actors. And obviously he took Simon Pegg and Nick Frost into his films and lots of other people as well. Maybe we should be letting people like, I don't know, like Robert Popper, who made Friday Night Dinners, or other sitcom creators that are really popular in the UK. I believe that the guys that created The Inbetweeners are doing a new Time Bandits film with somebody American. Oh no, with Taika Waititi and Jermaine Clement from Flight of the Conchords. So yeah, I think that's the way forward. Is like get hold of talent from sitcoms and television programs in the UK that are really successful and funny, and then let them make films like Richard Ayoade or Matt Holness, who did Garth Marenghi. Like, I'd love to see a Garth Marenghi film. I'd rather see a Garth Marenghi film than a new Carry On film. Do we need to fit it into this? I don't know. it might, because none of the original people are still around. So unless you got like actors who resembled them, and there's been some good films, and like there's a really good David Tennant played Kenneth Williams, who's over here where it says Carry On Spine. There he is. David Tennant played him in a drama show called I think it's called Fantabulosa, and he was amazing, absolutely amazing. Is it Michael? Oh no, it's Michael Sheen, not David Tennant. It's Michael Sheen. I think they'd find it funny that I got them mixed up. But yeah, they are great films. Hot Fuzz, Yarp, they are funny. Let's see, Marina doing a bit of Curb Your Enthusiasm, Seinfeld references there. You know, we ruined Seinfeld in the UK. We put it on at like 1 o'clock in the morning on BBC Two, and you had to really seek it out or remember to record it. And still, people watched it and loved it. If they'd have put it on at 8 o'clock in the evening, it would have been massive in the UK. But we do need more Dark Place, yeah. I mean, you know, carry on Dark Place. But it's weird. It's just weird. Like, I know maybe we're just nostalgia's a hell of a drug, and I think that there is definitely a market for this kind of seaside postcard, saucy, naughty, cheeky, wobbly, you know, end of the pier style nonsense is missed in the UK. So maybe it does need to come back, but maybe it doesn't need to be called Carry On. I don't know. There's a lot of pressure on it, because I remember when Carry On Columbus came out, people just absolutely slated it. I'd have been about 12 when it came out, but I just remember everyone was like, it's terrible. But I don't think I watched Carry On films as a kid. I think my mum and dad thought they were very appropriate. Probably still don't, to be honest. But yes, it's been really interesting chatting with you about the Carry On films. Are there any British comedians that would fit into this kind of naughty, saucy franchise that would work? We talked about some of them. I know we talked about Nick Frost. You know, because somebody like, say, Steve Coogan, who does Alan Partridge, or whatever, he wouldn't touch this with a barge pole, I don't think. What is it he's doing? They're doing a film where he's playing football manager Mick McCarthy, which is strange. But then, you know, there's a kind of maybe a link with something that was really popular with Ted Lasso, because there's quite a lot of heart in Ted Lasso, but there's also a little bit of silliness in there too, and there's quite a lot of British actors, because it's mainly set in Britain, isn't it? So there's definitely a place for lighter British humour. Not everything has to be so like either meta or dark, or, you know, just kind of like, oh, so uber cool. That I don't think there's enough silly. I don't think like and the ones that you think are going to be like that, I think we talked about it on another stream, like Date Movie and Meet the Spartans and all these. Then you think they're going to be funny, you think they're going to be silly, but then they just turn out to be a cash-in on IP that they don't own, just like homage, spoof, but without any jokes, without any humour, and without any levity or silliness. So yeah, I think Matt Berry would be great. I'd love to see Matt Berry as a lead. There's an actor called Sid James who was the lead character of most of the Carry On films. I feel Matt Berry would do that great, kind of rallying all the people behind him, but not really having a clue what he's talking about, but putting it across very well. Don't know if you ever saw, there's a sketch show that Matt Berry did years and years ago called Snuffbox. And you may have seen the sketches where he's being all charming to young ladies, and then he finds out they have a boyfriend. So he goes, I'll carry these drinks for you. And he's got like 5 drinks. And then she's like, oh, my boyfriend's just over there. And he goes, fuck you. And he just drops them on the floor and walks off. Or he's helping a woman move and he's carrying her fish tank. And then he finds out that she's moving in with a boyfriend and he just drops the fish tank. That's the sort of character that I think he would play really funny in a Carry On film. Hey, Bud Files, I see you've got a new video scheduled. Looking forward to that. His shout out one's really nice, really cool. But yeah, those little clips from Snuffbox seem to do the rounds quite a bit on social media of him just being like really charming and lovely until he finds out that the women are taken. But that's quite similar, but you wouldn't have swearing like that in Carry On films, but that's the kind of humour that I think would work. Let's have a look. Let's see what Liv's got. I've no actual vibe is Tom Holland. Yeah, I mean, he's got an awkwardness and a like said the wrong thing, like giving away spoilers to Marvel movies and stuff. Like, I think Tom Holland, it would work. I think he doesn't take himself serious as well. Plus, his dad is a stand-up comedian. His dad, stand-up comedian and writer, who's not particularly very good, but was one called Dominic Holland. So that would work. Yeah, Clem Fandango. Hello, Stephen. Can you hear me? Yeah. The other guy who's always in the booth with him, he's done quite a lot as well. I can't remember his name, but he's done quite a lot. Clem Fandango. Yes. Well, yeah, that's true. He couldn't be like the Charles. If you Google Charles Hawtrey, who's in the thing, that he doesn't look like Tom Holland. Tom Holland's got a little bit more about him, hasn't he? But yeah, I like that. I like that kind of thing too. It makes somebody more endearing to me, I think. And somebody's got that when they're not like, I'm not a big fan of the uber cool, takes themselves dead seriously character. When you see that they've got a little bit of a sense of humor about themselves and seem approachable, then I think that makes them a lot more attractive to the viewer. And Tom Holland's got that for sure, and Andrew Garfield has as well. So if we went like proper full-on actors who have maybe not done a lot of comedy, that'd be interesting. Somebody like Tom Holland or even Andrew Garfield. I mean, we tend to send off a lot of our British comedians off to America, not comedians, British actors off to America to become bad guys in things, or to talk in a very posh accent in things, But there's I think the other thing about carry-on films is that you tend to get, they've all got very distinct looks and voices. So Kenneth Williams, like that, and then you've got like Charles Hawtrey is very, very sort of small and camp. Then you've got like Sid James, like not camp. He's more like like that. And you've got a real range of voices. You've got like the tough matron character. You've got Barbara Windsor giggling and being kind of provocative. So these characters, maybe you could get some actors to do them, and it might be better than put in some comedians. It didn't work. If you look at the cast of Carry On Columbus, it didn't work. Even with Charles Fleischer, who from Who Framed Roger Rabbit, Larry Miller's in there, Rick Mayall, Lexi Sale, Maureen Lipman, Bernard Cribbins, Jim Dale is in it, Nigel Planer, Richard Wilson. It just didn't quite gel in the same way. People were just not into it, even though like you'd think, oh wow, it's got Rick Mayall in it, but I don't know, it just didn't. Yeah, do you know what? Good call. I wonder if Daniel Radcliffe, he'd be good, because he's got a good sense of humour. He could be like the Jim Dale, awkward, say new doctor, like trainee doctor, who gets things wrong, but you kind of root for him. Yeah. Or even Rupert Grint. Get Rupert Grint in it. Rupert Grint or someone. Get all the Harry Potter guys in, and Tom Holland. But yeah, maybe think about it a bit differently. And I think it would be easier, if I was casting it, I think it would be easier to go for actors rather than comedians. Like, I don't really know a lot about like Miranda Hart and people like that. And also sometimes with some of these people, it makes it seem a bit cheaper, maybe not as like you have to watch it. It just, like they did Catherine Tate did a movie, Mrs. Brown's Boys did a movie, Keith Lemon did a movie, Harry Hill did a movie, and all of them are relatively popular on TV, but just people just didn't watch them. They're just like, this is trash. So I think you'd need some names in there. Good call on Tom Holland though, but I also now I'm thinking Daniel Radcliffe would be a good call. I guess thinking back, when I said I don't think there's an American equivalent, there is. Police Academy. Especially the early ones. And they get worse, like the Carry On films pretty much did. So yeah, that would be my comparison. Police Academy. I like my Police Academies too. So that would make sense. That would definitely make sense. I feel like I want to go away and start writing one now. But the problem is, writing it wouldn't be the problem. Casting it, this would be one that'd be made in the cast. Even though there wasn't, I know for a fact that they didn't do a lot of ad-libbing. It was all as scripted, and that sometimes was pretty bad. But yeah, not that taken with with the kind of the scripts of some of them. Some of them are really on the nose, but some of them are really quite clever. Like Frankie Howard's in them and pops in a couple of them. Sometimes some big comedians at the time just pop up when other people weren't available or ill or wanted a little bit more money. And it was all a lot of this came down to money and like the production team really ripping off the actors. They ended up with very little out of it. Yeah, I mean, and it might be the same with the later Carry On films. Like the characters kind of change. Like Karen Emanuel, you've only really got, I think, maybe 3 of the core group who stick around. Kenneth Williams is really struggling. Nobody needs to be seeing like a 70-odd-year-old bloke's bare buttocks. So yeah. It was kind of a similar trajectory for Carry On films, to be honest, Larry. If I was to recommend to see any, Carry On Abroad, Carry On Screaming, it'd be interesting to watch that in isolation and see if you actually found it funny, because it references all the classic horror that I know a lot of the people who watch this channel like. And it's interesting because it's so British that it could never cross over. But then I'm sure people said that about so many things that have. You know, like, oh, I guess those Beatles guys are never going to make it. Or Duran Duran or someone. So I'm going to go and have a drink. I'll lie down and watch all 5,000 Carry On films that we're on. But I found that quite interesting. I feel like we came to some sort of agreement there related to actors that could be in it. So I was really struggling. I was thinking the ones that I asked people who worked in comedy, they all came up with pretty much comedians, and a lot of comedians that I haven't seen or I have seen I'm not that interested in. I felt like Greg Davis, Matt Berry kind of stood out as people I'd like to see in these things. But when we started talking Tom Holland, Daniel Radcliffe, I was like, oh, that's a bit different. The thing is, though, this could be a potential career ender for someone. So they're not just going to go, yeah, I'll do it. I mean, Rupert Grint did Thunderpants. So, like, I guess when you're a kid, you just do whatever films people offer you. But some of these could potentially be a career ender. So maybe if you're a TV actor, it's not the end of the world if you could just laugh it off. But if you're an actor, you might go to the back of the line if you do one of these. I mean, look at Sex, Lies and the Potato Men. Johnny Vegas and Mackenzie Crook kind of gone on to do other things. It didn't end their careers, but I think it did end the career of the writers. But that's a really interesting story behind Sex, Lies with the Potato Men. And I have done another stream about that and how it almost ended the British film industry. So if you go back into my lives, scroll down, and you can find me talking about Sex, Lies with the Potato Men, because that is a fascinating story, more fascinating than you would expect from a film with that title. So yeah, feel free, fantasy casting. If you want me to do any more fantasy casting or fantasy casting and ask certain people who I know in the industry to kind of give me ideas, we can have a stream and talk about those. If there's a series you want to come back, let's bring it back. Let's bring back the A-Team. Who we're going to have in the A-Team? Not Rampage, not Liam Neeson, but who we're going to bring back in the A-Team? Who we're going to do that? Who's going to bring back Knight Rider? Who's going to bring back Street Hawk? Me. That's it. No. Who's going to bring back Flight of the Navigator? I don't know. No. Who's going to bring back Gremlins? And who's going to play the No, that doesn't make sense because they'll be puppets. But yeah, let's bring some TV shows, some films back, and let's talk about who we can put in, and that'll be fun. I like that. I've got about 5 really big posters that I want to show you, and they're right behind me. I'm really excited because this bar, in the next couple of months, this Rose Gallery behind me is going to change massively. I'm going to have some huge posters behind them if I can afford to frame them. Okay, so everyone's saying bye to each other. which is really kind and really nice. Thank you, Larry, and thank you, Liv, for saying that. Appreciate that. And what have we got? Stephen Merchant. Yeah, he's got the physicality to be, to do it. Underrated. It is. It's all on me to cast and make these new films. I am the British film industry, and I have no money. That's the sad. Well, just like the British film industry, I've got no money. I'm waiting on lottery funding, i.e., winning the lottery, so that I can make these things. Carry On Cowboy. Oh yeah, that was a. I'm just looking at some of Carry On Loving. Is quite good. I don't mind the kind of more saucy ones, but please, public service information. Do not, under any circumstances, watch Carry On Emmanuel. Okay, don't be like, oh, he said it, so I'm going to do it. I like doing the opposite of what people say, and you can't tell me what to do. Fine, go and watch it. But just remember, this guy told you not to watch it, and it's bad. It's a bad, sad, grim, miserable film that may make you want to cry. Not in a good way. Not cathartic tears, but tears that'll feel like blood coming out of your eyes because it's so appalling. Karen Emmanuel is an abomination. So don't do it, man. Don't do it. Carry On My Wayward Son, the American version. Perfect, yeah. And it's literally an American kid who comes back to Britain to inherit a castle. He's been off being a hippie in America in the 70s. Because it's set in the 70s. He comes back. He has to be Lord of the Manor. So it pretty much writes itself, Larry. Let's get on that. Let's do that together. Let's get that. Liv, you can be my style consultant for that. Get them all dressed up in cool 70s stuff. Pretty much, we're on it. We're making the next film. So thank you everybody who's watched. Thank you all the people who've commented. Thank you Marty for sharing it out. Thank you Liv and Larry. Thank you Gareth as well for chipping in. Thank you Stuart for chipping in as well. Bud Files for chipping in. Have I missed anybody? Please check out people in the comments and the chat. Hover over their name and you will get to go to their wondrous YouTube pages and look at the delights on their page, and you will say, ooh, that's a good YouTube page. And you'll say, who told me to look at those pages? And you'll go, oh yeah, it's that guy Matt. He's got good taste, that guy. Okay. Jerry's final thoughts. Well, you know how this is going to end. You know how this is going to end. And I think if I was making a Carry On film, it would end in exactly the same way. So take care of each other and yourself. Goodbye. I'm still here.